Hello, everyone. My name is Brent Barlow, and this is Bluelight, a discussion of relevance and import. We are broadcasting on this Friday, January 30th, 2026. It is the noon hour, 8 p.m. GMT. Here we honor the importance of public debate and the requirement of civility, the necessity of education and the strength of knowledge, the value of coming together, and the power of collaboration. Before we begin, we pause to reflect and focus on our purpose, breathing in deeply, aligning with intention, dreaming the I'm possible. Assisted by ancestors, powered by providence, rooted in reverence. The words spoken, the path clear, the way cool. Let us build what is worthy. Let us remember the dream forgotten. Let's make some magic together now. Ashe Madase. Today's word of the day is preeminent, the adjective that I would define as one that shines above all others. Webster might say preeminent is a formal word used to describe someone or something more important, skillful, or successful than their counterparts or peers. It is used synonymously with outstanding and supreme. Today's bonus word is reciprocate. The verb means to do a thing for or to someone who has done something similar for or to you. Also, similar feelings shared between people. I reciprocate the feelings. I'd love for you to reciprocate your feelings to me. The look back, the day in history. The Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo performed together for the last time on January 30th, 1969. The 42-minute set took place on the rooftop of Apple corporate headquarters in London and ended after neighbors filed noise complaints leading to the police showing up. Footage appears in the documentary Let It Be. Also, Bloody Sunday, Bloody Sunday was a massacre on January 30th, 1972, when British soldiers and shot 26 unarmed civilians during a protest march in the Hyde area of Derry in Northern Ireland. 13 were killed outright. One died later of injury sustained. Many were shot while fleeing. Others were shot while trying to help the wounded. Some were injured by shrapnel, rubber bullets, or beaten with batons, while 2 men run down by British armed vehicles. All of those shot were Catholic. Republican Army, the IRA, spiked after the incident. Once again, religion. At credit today, many of you may remember 6 years ago on January 3rd, 2020, when the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 pandemic to be a public health emergency of international concern. I remember Julesy was preparing for her senior performance in 9 to 5, and I told her, baby, it's coming, man. They're going to shut down, and they did, and it still lingers. Our quote of the day is from the Lone Ranger. Hi-ho, Silva! The first radio broadcast of the Lone Ranger on WIZ in Detroit, Michigan, aired January 30th, 1933. Quote, "It's every man's duty, in uniform or uniform, to help this government of ours bring its enemies to justice." Ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast is intended to serve as a platform to talk, share, learn, and grow. At Labella B, we recognize preeminent wisdom and will not placate hate. And that sometimes our government's enemies are within, rise to a higher plane, and come together in community to create a world worthy of our children. Issues of concern across the globe persist like a bad cold, and they are not getting any better. Greed and glut are the dual banners of the elite. And while power and wealth continue to come to the few, there are those who desire a better outcome, who have a tremendous capacity for good, more, and are ready to act. Friends, we can continue to accept more of the same, or we can make different choices and take collective action. One question is, how big an impact can we make together? Point of personal privilege. Catherine Ann O'Hara, if you did not know shame on you. Please get to know her. Past the Canadian American actress, comedian, screenwriter, who began her career as an improvisational and sketch comedian, I guess. Best known for her roles in Beetlejuice, Home Alone, Best in Show, always working with Christopher Guest. She had a great role in The Studio, that Apple TV show that was just on. Quote, a frighteningly portrayal of the idiosyncrasies and egos of Hollywood filmmaking. Anyway, she passed today. Moment of silence. God bless you, Kat. Brought us all much, much joy. Today's rant is about an ancient curse. You might have heard it. May you live in interesting times. May you live in interesting times appears earliest in the English language in the early 20th century and is often vaguely to the East, which was kind of a common way Europeans laundered invented wisdom. But the phrase became world famous after Robert Kennedy in 1966 used it in his Day of Affirmation speech in South Africa. There's a Chinese curse which says, may live in interesting times. Like it or not, we live in interesting times. There are times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also more open to the creative energies of men than any other time in history. It's framed as cursing times, obviously. Doesn't mean curing novelty, cool vibes. As RFK refers to it, it intends to imply instability, evil, war, revolution, collapse. A moment when history stops being boring because people are suffering. In other words, boring times equal peace, political stability, continuity, reliability, interesting times. History books are written in blood. The curse is wishing someone basically a front row to chaos. It survives to nail something very true. Humans romanticize disruption until they are in the midst of it. We lived through the Black Plague, the Fall, the French Revolution, the Great Depression, the Great World Wars, and said, wow, man, this is awesome. They were saying, how in the hell do we survive this? The twist of today is that most people don't recognize that we are living in interesting times. If you haven't figured that out from what I've been saying, then you're missing the whole point. And many of us choose the chaos, technology, politically, economically, culturally. And in these interesting times today, we are monetized, we're live streamed, we're anesthetized, we're accelerated. We don't ask how to avoid interesting times. We ask how do we stand out in these times. Hey, look at me. I'm doing it. Yeah. It's interesting. It's accelerating, I tell you that. and it portends a dangerous condition. But that could possibly be reframed if it isn't about time, opportunity, about the burden we all bear. Interesting times demand moral clarity, courage, adaptability, a loss of tolerance, and responsibility. People may want to just exist through history without paying the price of living through history. I suggest we look at the curse this way. May your life require you to become more than you ever planned to be. I suggest some rise to the challenge, some break, some capitulate. It's a choice. I do suggest checking out a podcast, Wild Card, Rachel Martin. Rachel Martin is an NPR host and pretty engaging gal, and she on YouTube has a podcast, Wild Card with Rachel Martin, has interviewed a bunch of people, most recently, and she pulls out and asks Oprah, what do you think you're going to be remembered for? What's the measure of your life, or something like that? And Oprah told a story, and the lot of it was, the essence was, my life will be measured by every life that I touched. Your life will be measured by every life you touched. And I've said things similar, and I'm not the first. It's not the first. The measure of a person is the actions they take. And these interesting times that we live in are in large measure of our own creation. And personal responsibility is the salve cure to what ails you. I want to make one point here, and I feel qualified to make it. And this isn't a matter of what to watch for. The man is Whitey. Whitey is the man. I'm watching everything that's crossing my vision here. And from Trump to Schumer to John Thune, John Rogers, Stephen Mitchell, they're all white men. And I feel qualified because as a white man, a white privileged man, I can tell you, we got a club. It's fucking, whoop, it's awesome. But the quote today was, every man's duty, every person's duty, in uniform or not, is to help this government of ours bring its enemies to justice. We all prioritize our life, our days, our relationships, but we have to recognize that we're part of systems. And most people are lazy. Let's just call it what it is. Voting numbers are down, but I will say this. There are issues of concern that we cannot in good conscience avoid. And if you look at the demographics just of the United States, about 50-50, just a shade more women than men, and about 60% white, which they include some kind of white Hispanic or whatever, I don't even know. But the rest are basically Black, Latino, Hispanic, I think they refer to it as, Asian, and everybody else. That's the 40%. So if most of the 40%, if you looked at this as a political campaign, which you should, there are only 3 years left. If the 40% or a large section of the 40% and a portion of the 60%, white men like me, join forces, I mean, heck, we really could make a big impact. Now, a couple things that I want to highlight and I want to preview. First, I want to preview, next week, I think we're going to talk about kind of the systematic impact that's taking place right now. So you have a real appreciation for the breadth, how wide the impact is, and to a certain extent, how deep it is and how long it's going to be. There's a long tail on many of the actions that are being taken here. There are social issues, there are educational issues, media, news, food, water, safety, international relations. And I want to begin to build the framework to understand, discuss, and make some moves in that regard. Secondly, I want to point out that this thing about religion. Again, I have said I am not a religious person. I begrudge no one their beliefs. Some of my absolute favorite people are very religious. But this United States of America, this experiment for 250 years that is on shaky ground at the moment, was founded on principles against despotism, no taxation without representation. Anyone remember that? Boston Tea Party, the Stamp Act, Shays' Rebellion. And we came here to escape religious persecution, and specifically baked into the Constitution that we are not a religious nation. The United States of America is not a religious nation. And to hear J.D. Vance and others say that ours is a Christian nation, and to quote Romans 13, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. Submission to governing authorities because God says so. Look, Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, Johnny's Manifesto, I don't care what you believe in, but as a nation, we cannot accept the unacceptable. And to make false, misleading statements, to lead people to a place by deception, or by even worse, coming flat out saying you're going to do it, insert here Project 2025, and rely on the populace's laziness to do exactly what you want to do, regardless of the consequences, even if after they'll complain about it, hey, you gave them the heads up, you gave them the opportunity to stop you. In conclusion, what I focus on expands, and I get to focus on whatever I choose. I know that gratitude is the key. That plugging into the universe, recognizing the ultimate truth, that I am but a part of a larger whole, is empowering. And it is a message that I want you to hear. Okay, this is a call to action, a call to those who feel the same sense of urgency in this moment. It's an invitation to join the forces of good. Renee. It can be overwhelming, baby. I know it. But you care, I care, we care. And no one has to do it alone, so we help each other. Folks, you get to choose. Never let anyone tell you differently. You get to decide. And in the immortal words of Charles Schultz, it's fun to have fun, but you've got to know how, which is what we aims for around here. To thine own self be true. Opportunity, it lay everywhere, folks. Steal like Picasso. In our community, La Bella Bee, we are reclaiming our sovereignty, democratized, decentralized, where aligned individuals collaborate to create a world worthy of our children. Information can be found at labellabee.com. It's time to take action, folks. No one will do it for us. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. We're not asking for permission. We are not asking for favor. We are doing it, and you are invited to join the party. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment. Be well. God bless. Peace.